Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Christine Dixon of The Ordinary Sacred, and we are still here in this beautiful town in Colorado doing a house sit, really enjoying ourselves. I'm excited today to lead you in a meditation to get to know an extreme inner critic, what Jay Earley often calls a destroyer, or Dick Schwartz has referred to as a murderous part, can be called a suicidal part, but it's really directed toward other parts that it wants to destroy. And you can equally use this meditation if you want for destroyer parts that are faced outward toward other people. It really is somewhat of a similar energy. It will work for either one. I'm excited to do this video because I actually looked back and trying to find content of, what do you all want me to do? I had an Excel spreadsheet from when I first started to create content regularly. I collected ideas and I saw that several of you asked me for a video on how to work with a really harsh inner critic. So I wanted to just make a direct meditation so that you can go in directly and work with those parts. Before I get into the meditation, I have two special shout outs. One is for Kelly Kikopotamus, who I believe, Kelly, you are the most frequent donator to this channel. And so I appreciate all of your support. And the second is to Michelle, who donated on the last video, really resonating with being a parent and the separation anxiety with your child. And I just want you to know that you're not alone. So thank you for that. All donations go to help pay for the overhead of my website so that I can offer everything there as a free gift. And speaking of that, there is actually a workshop that is a free gift there on working with inner critics. So if you haven't gone through that, you're welcome to go to my website, theordinarysacred.com, and get that as well. All right. So I'll try to put a timestamp that shows when the meditation starts. So if you want to come back, and use the meditation, you can go directly. And also, I'm going to do my best to take out ads during the meditation because I know that can be really distracting. Hopefully, I can figure that out. Okay, so without further ado, we are going to meet with a part who is a really harsh inner critic, destroyer. It could be a critic turned outward. It will work either way. If you get overwhelmed in the process or you feel like you're efforting or pushing against parts who are resistant, you don't need to do that. You can either just back up and listen and let your parts hear what the process looks like, because we are actually going to meet with an extreme protector. And if they allow, go to what they protect, the exile, and do a whole IFS process. Your system may not allow it in one session. It may not allow it in many sessions, but you can keep coming back if you want. There's no right or wrong way to do this. And if you need support, there's nothing wrong with that. You can reach out to a peer or maybe an IFS practitioner to have their self energy support you if it feels too difficult to have access to self energy in regard to any of your parts. Okay, you cannot get this wrong. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to lead you through this meditation. The first thing I always like you to invite you to do is to look around your physical space. So just take a moment to look and take in the details of what you see around you. And what you're doing is you're checking to see if you're safe. And if you're not, whatever you need to do, close the door, go to a different location, provide privacy. Maybe you want to get a blanket, soft blanket, a weighted blanket, a plushie. Anything that helps your body feel safe is going to give you more support in allowing you to go inside. All right. And if you do feel safe, I invite you to make that YOU turn. You might close your eyes or you might have a soft gaze. And just start to notice your body. Maybe notice your in and out breath. Notice the weight of your body. Maybe feel gravity pulling down on your shoulders and your jaw. Again, just helping your body feel safe. You might extend your exhale to tell your body you're safe if that feels supportive. And you might come to this meditation with an inner critic that's already really active or destroyer part of some kind. And maybe you're experiencing the backlash of all the other parts that are feeling really distressed about it. Or maybe you're not feeling it in this moment, and you might bring up in your mind the last experience where you experienced that destroyer part. And if you can, just notice for a bit, just observe what kinds of things does this destroyer say or do? Maybe they're saying it to you or about another person. Maybe they express themselves physically through pain. Just notice, how do you know when this part is active? Maybe they produce sensations in your body or intrusive images or thoughts. And this exploration will likely feel really uncomfortable. So I invite you to notice any parts who hate this destroyer part, fear this part, or maybe they make you dissociate or go numb when this part comes in. Just invite every single part that has any opinion about the destroyer or reaction to the destroyer to kind of come into the space. Notice where you sense them in or around your body. For example, there might be a constricted throat, or you might feel an upset stomach, or your face might get scrunched, or your muscles tense, or heart rate might increase or decrease. You might kind of go into flight or shut down. Just notice all those parts and their fear, or maybe their disdain, whatever they're feeling. And ask them if they'll come in front of you or kind of around you so that you can give them attention. And if it feels right to you, validate them. Validate their pain, validate their concern about focusing on this extreme destroyer. Just validate that what this destroyer does is very painful, and let them know you get that. You might want to comfort them if you feel impelled to do that. And again, you can pause at any time if you need to give more space for that. But let these parts know that if they will let you, yourself who is not a part, go toward the destroyer part, just with open, non-judgmental curiosity, you, yourself who's not a part, might be able to understand why this part does what it does and help it be able to naturally relax. Just remind these parts that you are bigger than the destroyer part. The one who gives it attention is bigger than it. It cannot harm you. Whatever you do not fear inside cannot harm you. It's a law of inner physics. So if any parts who feel fear or judgment are willing to give you space, you can connect with the destroyer part. And if they can't give you space, that's okay too. And it just means that they have concerns. You can offer them some alternatives. They can go into a safe space inside somewhere while you meet with the destroyer. Or alternatively, you can put the destroyer in a room, a padded room, even with a one-way mirror for the initial stages, so that you can observe the part without those parts feeling afraid, because it's really imperative that there's no fear in your system while you approach the destroyer. But once your system feels safe enough and kind of trust that at least they'll experiment with seeing if yourself can handle this, you can approach or observe the destroyer part and just observe what you notice. See if they're presenting themselves visually in any way, or maybe you just feel their presence somewhere in or around your body. Notice their energy. Notice what they're saying, what they're doing. And as you're noticing this, and throughout the whole meditation, keep checking how you feel toward them. Parts may come in and out that feel afraid or feel judgmental or shut down. And you really want to acknowledge them and meet their concerns so that they can stand next to you or go in another room and let you, yourself, who's not a part, who doesn't fear or judge or dissociate, be the one who approaches this part. So if at any point you need to acknowledge those parts, just pause and do that. And if those parts are able to relax, and even just do an experiment for a designated amount of time, you can return to the destroyer part, keep observing with curiosity. A good question to start with is to ask this destroyer part, what do you most want me to know about you? Or what do you want me to know about what you do? And you can just receive an answer from the part. You don't have to think anything up or analyze anything. Even if nothing comes, that's okay. You might have to ask thinking parts if they'll also stand next to you, so that you'll have the patience to just receive any and everything that comes. And parts can communicate in many different ways. So be open. It could be through words, it could be through actions, physical sensations, images, symbols. Just be open to however this part wants to show you what they want you to know about them. And you can pause if you need to. And if this part refuses to communicate with you, or really if any part refuses to acknowledge you at any time in the meditation, you can ask them, how old do you think I am? And just let a number come directly from the part. You don't have to think anything up. How old do you think I am? And if the answer is anything other than your current age, go ahead and update them about how old you are, and you can see how they react. Again, pause if you need to. If the part won't answer that question, which sometimes happens, that's okay. Another question you can ask is, who do you see when you look at me? And again, just let the answer come directly from them. And who they see usually indicates either a part that they protect or a part that you're often blended with that hates or fears them. maybe the part they're used to dealing with. So you can ask these parts, whatever they indicate if they're willing to stand next to you, and then see who the destroyer part sees. And keep doing this until the part sees you, your core, curious, and compassionate self. Again, you may not need this step. You may need this step. Take as long as you need to get through any parts that are blocking the way. Okay, once the destroyer sees you, yourself who's not a part, you can begin asking any question that comes to you from genuine curiosity. Usually, as they answer, "What do you want me to know about you?" There are follow-up questions about it. So you can ask anything that comes to you from genuine curiosity, but I'll give you some suggestions. I'll read the question, and again, you can pause and receive an answer without thinking it up. Even if there's nothing, that's okay. So you can ask them, "How do you help me? How do you help me?" Another question you can ask is, who inside are you most concerned about? Or if it's a destroyer outside, it could be outside, but who are you most concerned about or upset with? Who or what part exactly are you trying to destroy? Usually when it's an inner critic that's wants to destroy you, it really is pointing to another part that it feels is harming you in some way. So who exactly are they trying to destroy? And why do they pose a threat? What really is the threat of that part they're trying to destroy? And next you can ask, what are you afraid would happen if you didn't destroy this part? What do you think would happen if this part kept doing what it does? This is a really important question because it gets to what this part may be protecting. If they answer what their fear is, you can then ask, when did that happen? When did that other part take over and your fear come true? When did that happen? And you can ask further questions to flesh that out if you need to. But then you might ask, if I, the self who's not a part, could go and help the part or parts that are stuck back in that time when that happened, so they weren't vulnerable anymore, would you be able to rest from your job? If those parts were not stuck back there, they were not vulnerable anymore, would you be able to rest? And there's no right or wrong answer. Whatever's true. And then you might ask them, just hypothetically, if you could rest, what would you rather do with your energy? Again, they don't have to do this, just hypothetically, if it were possible, what would you rather do? Okay, and then last question that I have here is, that I think is an important one, is what name would you prefer other than destroyer? And just receive a name from this part of what it wants to be called by you. What do you want me to call you? We want to call parts by the name that they want to be called. Okay. So from now on in the meditation, I invite you to call this part by the name that they gave themselves. You may want to stop here if this feels like enough, you've gotten lots of information about this destroyer part and you're feeling tired or you just want to take a break. You're welcome to do that. You might want to check back just briefly with the parts who gave you space, who initially feared the destroyer or hated it, and just see if they heard some of the destroyer's answers, or the name that the destroyer gave. I don't know what that name is for you, but see if those parts are at least a little aware of the good intention or what this part is protecting. Just check back in with them, thank them. And you can save the rest of the video for later, or you can continue on. I am going to go through, if you feel like you have built some rapport with this part, and this previously known as destroyer part seems to really trust yourself at this point, trust that yourself really wants to get to know them, really wants to understand their history and why they're doing what they're doing, wants to help them with what they protect. And that part trusts you to some degree. You can continue on with the next part of the meditation. Okay, so if this part, formerly known as destroyer, allows, let them know that you can time travel back to the moment that they indicated earlier when you asked, when did that happen? And that they are welcome to come with you. They can support you. They know this part better than anyone. But that if they'll let you lead and they'll stand next to you, you are capable of being with this part and helping it. And if you get the go ahead, you are ready to time travel. So I invite you to imagine that your current adult loving self is walking from a distance, from maybe a block or so, toward the scene that the protector part let you know about. And they told you what happened in the past. So you're intentionally walking up to this scene. And I invite you to just notice your surroundings or sense your surroundings. There might be sounds or sights or sensations, smells. Really bring yourself into that space and be open to whatever you notice. And as you get closer to the scene, know that your intention is really just to get the experience of that part of you that is stuck back there. So as you get to the scene, first just take it in, whatever's happening there, observe it as long as you need. See if you can really get the emotions this part is feeling, and their experience, their perspective. And if you feel like you really are getting it, see if you can communicate that to the part. I see you. I get how terrible this is for you. And I'm here with you. You're not alone anymore in this. And just see how they respond to you. See if they're aware of your presence, how they react to you being there. And as yourself, you have no agenda and you don't need to force any part to do anything to interact with you. All parts always have free will. So if for some reason they're not able to acknowledge your presence, you might feel curious about why. You can maybe ask them who they see when they look at you, or maybe what they most need from you in order to be convinced that you're safe. And maybe they just need you to respect some distance for now. You need to gain evidence that you're safe. But just follow your instinct and your intuition about what to do or not do with this part. And you can ask this part if there's anything else that they would like you to know or witness. And again, just let them answer. Either they'll show you memories or images or sensations, emotions in your body. Keep letting them show you. And when they're finished, you can ask again, is there anything else? They really want to know that you get it. And keep asking that, is there anything else? Until they feel it's complete, until they say, nope, that's it. This could take anywhere from a few moments to years. Sometimes when there's been really complex trauma, a part will want to show us things, many, many, many different experiences. And our self does not have a problem with this, just as long as it takes. If it is complex trauma that they're dealing with, that's okay. You may need to take a break and come back. You don't need to observe everything in one session. You can keep coming back, and maybe you make an agreement with this part that you'll meet with them once or twice a week and let them show you things for 20 minutes or however long feels comfortable to your system. You can also combine this witnessing step with what's called a reparenting step. As the parts show you what they want you to know, maybe memories or scenes, ask them, what did you need most back here that you didn't get? Or what can I do with or for you back here? And just wait for an answer. Again, there's no right or wrong, whatever they needed that they didn't get. And then you can do that with or for them. Sometimes they just need comfort. Sometimes they really want you to advocate for them or help them advocate for themselves in some way. I just want to remind you that it's totally fine to keep checking for parts who feel afraid or judgmental or dissociative, and just notice their energy when they pop up and turn toward them and see what their concern might be. Let them know it's okay to be there or be here. But if they'll stand next to you and let you lead, it'll go better. But once this part feels like you really get what it wants you to know, and anything it wants to be redone or done differently back there is done, it's been reparented, you can ask the part how it feels about leaving that time and place and coming into the present with you. Just see how it responds to that idea. Sometimes parts love it, sometimes parts are very skeptical. You can let them know that they can go anywhere that feels safe to them. It could be a place that they know or a totally imaginary place. It could be a beach or a meadow, anywhere at all. They get to decide. And if for any reason they don't want to leave, they do not have to. The self will never force them. that you just might get curious about what their concerns are. What are they afraid would happen if they left that moment? There can be all kinds of concerns about siblings or parents or other loved ones, and you can come up with creative solutions to bring those with you, or put something in place to take care of them back there. But just see if yourself can meet the concerns in a creative way. Because once their concerns are met, they will feel naturally very happy to leave that moment and come into the present. But again, not until all their concerns are met. So you never need to force anything. Okay. Once this part is retrieved and has agreed wholeheartedly to come into the present, bring them into that space that they wanted to come into and just observe them for a moment. How are they feeling? What are they doing? And then you might ask them where they have carried the burdens that they got back there. These can be extreme emotions like terror or loneliness or shame, humiliation, pain, grief, or they might be certain beliefs like I'm unlovable, I'm ugly, I deserve punishment, I'm going to die. So it could be emotions or beliefs. To see if they can identify to you where they have carried those in or around their body. And again, there's no right or wrong. There's no need to make anything up. Just let them show you. And you can ask them how they feel about releasing these burdens. And they might have concerns, and you can meet those concerns again. Maybe they want to only release part of their burden and see what happens. Maybe they want to get permission from family members or ancestors. Again, they don't ever have to do anything they don't want to do. We're just trying to see what their concerns are and meet them. But if they are ready and willing to release these burdens, then you can ask them how they would like to release them. And there's really no right or wrong here. They can be creative about it. And if they're not sure, you can offer a menu of elements like water, fire, wind, earth, metal, and usually they'll resonate with one. And once they decide how they want to get rid of their burdens, just be with them and allow them to release their burden to that element or in whatever way they've decided. Stay with them until the release is complete. Go ahead and pause for as long as you need. Once this part has released their burden, and there's more free space and energy where that burden used to be, you can ask the part what qualities, either old qualities that were buried or new, completely new qualities, would you like to try on to put in that space? And again, just let them answer without thinking anything up. Just let it flow. What do they want to invite in? Ask them how, and again, you can pause for that part, but ask them how you will know when they are active. Like, what are the tells in the future that will let you know that they're present and maybe they need you to tend to them, to give them curiosity or comfort? How will you know they're there? Let them show you. And then if it feels okay with your system, commit to check in with them once every hour for the next 3 hours. So you can set an alarm as soon as you finish this meditation. You can set an alarm, hour on the hour for the next 3 hours, because this is the window of consolidation. And it doesn't have to be a long time at all. It's just a quick bringing them to mind and saying, I see you. How are you doing? Do you need anything? I'm here. And then if you can commit to doing that just once a day for the next 3 or 4 weeks, and again, it doesn't have to be a long time. It can be long if you feel impelled to do that, if you really want to. But it's better to be the shorter amount of time that you will do than a long amount of time that you won't do, because the consistency really shows that part that there is a secure attachment with self, and that self really cares and is going to come. If you find that you are not making that appointment, there's likely parts that are blocking it from happening, and you can just get curious about which parts are there and what they're afraid would happen if they let you do that. And again, just really listen to their concern and meet their concern. But that check-in with the part is really just a special time to solidify that secure attachment. All right. So now that you have met with this part or parts that the part formerly known as the destroyer was protecting, I want to invite you to go back to the destroyer or new named part, and just ask them if they saw what happened with that vulnerable part. Sometimes they have, sometimes they haven't. So if they haven't, just fill them in. And if they had, just ask them, how do you feel about that? Do you still have any questions or concerns? Do you need more evidence? And if they do, that's completely fine. Sometimes they're shocked. And ask them if there's anything else that they need from you going forward. You can also ask them, you might know, but tells that when they get active, when this formerly destroyer part gets active, and they need you either to go to another part they're protecting, let them know that you'll be looking for them, those signs, so that you can turn toward them and get curious and tend to what needs tending to. And again, you can ask any question that comes from genuine curiosity. But finally, I invite you to just invite all the parts who have come up during this full meditation, all the parts who gave you space, who might have felt afraid or judgmental or had other reactions in the beginning. Just extend love and gratitude to all of the parts. Let them know that you're here with them all, you value them all. And your system, after, if you've done all of this, may be tired. It might be wise to do something to support yourself, or to process, to go in nature. Sometimes parts want to do an unburdening actually in the physical world, in the actual earth or water or fire. You can plan that out if you want, or you might want to take a bath or paint or draw or listen to music or take a nap or just do whatever feels right to support your system. Okay. I just want to make a couple additional notes, because destroyer parts can be very, very extreme parts. And so I want to make note of this because I didn't talk about it too extensively in the meditation. Sometimes destroyer parts will point you to legacy burdens, burdens that have been passed down through your lineage, They may also point you that to the fact that they have taken on perpetrator energy. Maybe there were people in your life who are abusive to you, and they have taken on that energy to try to prevent outside abuse. And it can be really helpful to do a really specific ritual where you are releasing legacy burdens with your ancestors, or you're releasing perpetrator energy from your system, which some parts may need permission from family members or ancestors in order to do. Okay, so that's kind of an additional layer. And then finally, I wanted to address um, unattached burdens here, because if you, in the meditation, if you continue to ask questions to find the good protective intention of these parts and of this destroyer part, and it just continually seemed to have no other intention other than to destroy you or destroy other people, this part may actually be an unattached burden. And if that's the case, I invite you to watch my YouTube video on unattached burdens. I think if you look up unattached burdens in my name, you should be able to find it, because there can be a slightly different process with an unattached burden, even though it is actually still attached to you or attached to a part of you. Um, and the same principles are true about not fearing it and showing it a certain level of curiosity and compassion, which the self will do. Okay, so that's if you could not get to a specific thing that the part was protecting, or it had no good intention, and you tried and tried to get to its good intention and just could not. It is a possibility that, especially with these really extreme parts that want to harm us or other people, that they could be an unattached burden. So go watch that video. um, all right. Whether you were able to do some or part of this video, or just watch it to understand so that your system understands what the process looks like. Or maybe you're a practitioner and you just want to know what are the steps, what does it look like? And what I led you through is very similar to how I would lead you through any parts. Every IFS session is based on the same principles and yet completely unique and different, because every part is different. The answers they give are different. The parts that come in and block are different. And so each of you who have done this meditation are going to have a unique experience, right? So if you do have any questions or comments about the experience, you're welcome to put them in the comments and I will respond to you, or interact with one another about it. If you have listened this far and you want to put an emoji, you can put you can either put an emoji that denotes destroyer, right? So like a wrecking ball, or I guess it could be fire or explosives or something like that. Or put in an emoji or the name that your destroyer part wanted to be called. Because I always find that so fascinating. Like, what does the part actually want to be called? I've had several destroyer parts. One of them wanted to be called Gollum. Another wanted to, and then later the image turned into a koala bear kind of image. But another part wanted to be called Ninja Girl. Another one, I'm trying to remember his new name now. I talked about him recently. He had the image of an Egyptian god, Anubis. And so I was calling him Anubis, but I asked him, what is your name? And he gave me a different name. I need to go back and remember. Can I ask him right now? Okay. I'll come back and, and tell you. But yeah, so go ahead and put an emoji that represents the new name, or you can just write the new name if you want to. All right. So much love to all of you. May you be kind to yourselves and all of your parts until we meet again. See you next time.